Hey, welcome back to the Marianne Hickman Show. Today's episode is with an amazing woman by the name of Este Can. I met her on social media, and so this Zoom call that you're going to see in our podcast is actually her in the UK at 5 p.m. and me at 10 a.m. here in Utah. This is going to go into the nerdy science of how quantum physics and manifesting come together in a beautiful blend. Now, Este has some amazing giveaways. They're in the description of this video, and also, I just finished my latest ebook. That's yours as well in the description. How to replace your 9 to 5. Check it out.
So, Estee, you and I met over social media. I think it was Facebook where we originally ran into each other. And I heard your story and I was so fascinated by it. And my jaw was on the floor while we were talking initially on our first phone call so many times. So share, tell me about, and let's let everyone hear tell me your history. Where did you come from?
Right. So I was born and raised in socialist Hungary, although only for the first 7 years of my life, but it made a big impression on the way that I am and the way that I first experienced life. And also not only that I grew up in socialist Hungary, but also I grew up with a single mom. So
Wow.
it was tough. Stuff. And my history is that then eventually I moved to the UK to follow my dreams. I just really always just wanted to be the master of my life and my destiny, and I wanted to manifest my dream life, basically. And so I was involved in personal development very early on, since I was like 11, but only on the level of reading some books. And so once I moved to the UK, I got involved with personal development even more. And that was in 2011. So I did, and then I was working for this huge international personal development company for almost 3 years. And I was a coach with them, a life coach, high performance executive type of coaching, as well as a department director. This ended in the end of 2016, and in 2018 I found myself homeless, and that was when I was like, okay, hang on a minute, I've done all of this personal development and yet I'm finding myself homeless. Like, how on earth is that? So this prompted me to really, really figure out manifesting. And from that, I went to manifesting something like 3 years of nonstop traveling the world. I manifested winning a $20,000 coaching certification course. I just manifested a few days ago. I manifested winning a $950 business growth opportunity, like a business growth what is it called when you talk to a person and they advise you?
Oh yeah,
it's a consultation.
A coach or a strategy session, maybe.
Yes, a business strategy session. Thank you. Yeah, this does happen because obviously I'm still Hungarian, and
I love it.
I'm still forgetting words sometimes. So
that's part of what I love about you, is that, like, how many languages do you speak? You've clearly got English, Hungarian.
I speak English, I speak Hungarian, and I used to speak really good German because I went to a bilingual German gymnasium, which you guys call a high school.
Uh-huh.
So I went to a high school, which was a bilingual high school. So I studied several subjects in German, as well as the other subjects in Hungarian. So, but I haven't practiced German for a long time. I used to be able to speak Danish as well, but again, I didn't practice that. So Danish and German are totally on the back burner. And if people speak around me, then I will pick it up really quickly. But yeah, it's really, for the time being, it's English and Hungarian.
Wow. Okay. So there's this whole beautiful storyline that you have of, you're born in socialist Hungary to a single mom, and then you've got when you were 11, you moved to the UK, you started getting your personal development, you went
No,
through a
no,
period where you were
sorry,
oh,
in
2011.
2011. Mhm.
That's right. 2011, you moved to the UK. And then you went through a period where you were homeless. And now you're, what I love about what you were teaching me in our previous call was the quantum mechanics of manifesting. Tell us about that.
Right. So, do you know that experiment, that quantum physics experiment called the double slit experiment that they did in 1980?
Yes, yeah,
You
I'm
know,
familiar with it because I'm a huge science nerd, and for our audience who might not be science nerds, explain this to us. And I'm gonna see if my team can put like a little in-screen image of this in here because this particle wave duality is really fascinating to me. Tell me about it.
it really is. And if you saw my ebook, I put a meme in it because I thought that meme is absolutely perfect, explaining quantum physics in a meme. I mean, how much better can it get?
No, I think you, by the way,
So
that ebook, this is something that people can download, right? I have a link to that. And that's going to be in this description of this podcast. You can go and get Estee's ebook at like during this podcast and go read it. But like teach us the basics, the fundamental basics. Let's go a little bit into the physics, quantum mechanics, and then bring it into manifesting because I think this is where a lot of people get tripped up is they think, oh, if I take enough ice baths or if I do enough power hours or whatever, I'll get what I need, but there's science behind it. And people a lot of times tend to discount what it means to use positive language, what it means to manifest, and what it means to do all this. And they say, oh, it's not, I'm not a millionaire, and millionaires probably don't do this. And they don't practice what they think might be quite silly when really there's science behind it. So help us marry these two worlds together.
right. Yes. Everything that you said, absolutely true. And what people don't realize is that this experiment in 1980, I mean, it happened in 1980, and what it means about being a human being, I'm gonna get there, what that means. But people just live their lives like it doesn't matter, like it didn't happen, right? So
Yeah.
what is this the double slit experiment? What is this double slit experiment? So it's what scientists were doing is that they used a beam of light that they made go through a screen, and there was two slits on this screen. So the light would go through this screen and come out on the other end. And here there was another screen. Here is this other screen, right? And this is like a photosensitive paper.
Right. It's almost
So
like
this
a light beam through a camera or a projector.
or projector, yeah. And so there is the photosensitive stuff paper, let's say, and here is our wall that has two slits in. So the light is coming from here. So again, I'm going back to this wall. So there's two slits in this wall,
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Yeah, they're two vertical
And
slits, right? Like cat
yeah,
eyes almost. Yeah.
that's right. And so the light is going through here. And what we would expect to see in the normal laws of physics, or utilizing the normal laws according to the normal laws of physics, what we would expect to see is that the light goes through those two slits and makes two marks on the photosensitive paper according to where they were able to come through, right?
Right.
So but what sorry.
You're doing
But
great.
what
This is
happened?
so fascinating to me.
But me too. But what happened instead is I mean, this did happen when they were observing it, but for some reason they left the experiment running without a human observer being present. And when they came back to it, they saw that the light made a really amazing, interesting interference pattern on the photosensitive paper. In other words, basically the light went through the wall, right? There was this wall, there were two slits in it, but yet we had light damage or traces of light reaching the photosensitive paper, like all over the paper.
Yeah.
So how did the light go? Not through the slits. Like, how
Yeah.
did the light go through? Like, did the light go through the wall? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
So based on quantum physics, then the quantum physics explanation of this is that what the light does is that when it's not observed, it starts to behave as waves. But it's not only that it's waves, but it's that how it gets through the wall is that it flickers between existence and non-existence, or in other words, it flickers between existence in this physical reality and the quantum field, what you could call the quantum field, the unified field, basically existence and non-existence, or existence here or in the quantum field. And so when it's not here, it's in the quantum field, and then suddenly appears on the other side of the wall, and then it reaches the photosensitive paper. So that's what happens. And so what does that mean? What does that mean? Is that
Yeah. So basically,
when
from this point, we're learning that the light behaves differently if it's being observed.
yes, it
Blows
behaves
my
different.
mind.
It behaves differently. It behaves differently when it's being observed and when it's not being, or versus when it's not being observed.
Right.
So when it's not being observed, start there. When it is being observed, it behaves according to what we expect it to do. It behaved according to the laws of physics.
At least
Right?
what we knew about the laws of physics at the time. It behaved as
That's right.
expected.
That's right. So, but when it's not being observed, and it just does what it does, it is being its true nature. But what does that mean about us human beings? What does that mean about being a human being?
I'm getting
that
goosebumps. I cannot wait for the answer to this question. Like this is what when I remember being in science class in, I think I was in 7th or 8th grade, and we did this experiment.
Oh, you did?
We did. It was insane because I was also I was a photographer for 25 years. And so I also had access to the dark room, which is basically I had photosensitive paper, I had light, I had a dark room to do the experiment, and I could develop the paper. And I remember being blown away, and I never could wrap my head around this idea of how can light be a particle and a wavelength at the same time. I don't understand. Like, and I never quite wrapped my head around it, but it immediately started these questions in my brain. And I don't know if I was the only 7th grader or 8th grader in this class that was asking these questions, but I then asked myself, how do I show up differently when I'm being observed? Okay. And I don't want to like, I want to hear what you think about this and what this means, because you've been trained in this, and I'm about to figure out, along with our audience, exactly what it means in terms of being a human being.
And
I have
I
goosebumps.
know you
Drop the
know the
bomb on us.
answer. And I know you know the answer, but I'm just going to say it, that what this means is that we as human beings are the observer who collapses possibility into form. That's what it means. By
That's so
virtue of
beautifully put.
by virtue of observing something, did I say that correctly? By virtue of observing something, we literally collapse possibility into form, into physical form. And that's what we do. We are that observer who literally impacts and creates this physical reality. That's what it means about being a human being. That's what we are. At our core nature, we are that observer who creates reality.
So this is crazy. And I love the way you put it. It's so eloquent. We are the observer who collapse possibility into reality. You put it better than I did. I have
literally what
goosebumps
happens,
right now.
isn't it? So do I.
It's so okay. now that we know that this is possible, and we know because we have evidence where I've performed this experiment myself. It's a very simple experiment. You have seen this experiment. Anyone can go look up this experiment. It's 40 years old, almost 45 years old, almost half a century, if you think of it that way. How do we harness that? Now that we know it's possible and that human beings are capable of this, how is it done? How do you collapse a potential into a desired outcome?
So how you actually do this is by the power of your focus. It's what we choose to observe. To put it very simply, it's what we continuously choose to observe is what's gonna collapse into matter, basically. So we could,
Okay.
out of all of these possibilities, like you make a true choice. I can come back to this. What is a true choice? It has to be a true choice. It cannot be just any choice. It has to be a true choice. You make a true choice what you want to create, i.e., that is the same as to say, what is it that you want to observe into reality? So you make a true choice, you choose what you want to create, what you want to observe into reality, and then you just keep your focus on that. Sounds
Okay.
very simple.
It does sound
Sounds
very
very
simple, but
simple.
I want to share, maybe this falls along those lines, and correct me if I'm wrong. I was at a retreat about maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And at the end of the retreat, one of my friends says, "Okay, Marianne, every time you see a purple car, that means it's your lucky day." And I was like, I cannot tell you the last time I saw a purple car. I can't tell you if I've ever seen a purple car. But I kid you not, Estee, like over the course of the next 4 days, I counted, I saw 7 purple cars. This was insane to me. And it feels like it's this principle to where, okay, there's a little nagging thought in my brain that says I've accepted the truth of this idea that if I see a purple car, I'm going to have a lucky day. And then I see 7 of them. But that doesn't mean people went out and spray painted their cars purple. So what's happening?
Well, there is a brain science answer to this, which is that when you put something on the filter of your awareness, then basically your consciousness, your brain, your unconscious will start to look for it. And maybe you have seen purple cars before then, but because it wasn't on the filter, on the forefront of your awareness, like you just blank them. You know how,
Yeah.
I don't know, you're looking for your phone, or I don't know, that's not the best example. Maybe that's not the best example. But like, let's say, I don't know, I moved into this house a little while ago, and I've been here for 2 months. And after 2 months, I realized there is a fan, that like there's a fan in this room somewhere. And I'm like, but how did I not see that 2 months? I've been here for it's just like you blank,
Yeah.
things. You're really able to blank things if they are not on the on the forefront of your circle, or on the forefront of your consciousness. So but when it is, then you start noticing things more.
So is this
But how
something that,
does
no, go ahead, go ahead.
but how does this relate to what I said, um, about I don't know if I could connect this correctly to the manifestation power.
Well, so, and here's my question, because immediately when you talked about collapsing potential into actuality, it made me think of, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs that are wanting more. That's what entrepreneurs do. We want more in our business. We want to make $1 million or $5 million this year. We want to double the revenue, but we don't know how to do something we've never done before. Right? I don't know how to do something I've never done. Otherwise, I would have done it. So let's just say we have an entrepreneur that wants to make their first $1 million, or in other words, that is the outcome that they want to collapse the potential into.
Right.
And so in my head, I'm thinking, okay, this has a lot to do with what I heard you say of true belief.
True choice.
True choice. Yes, that's it. So tell me about true choice, because in my head, I think this is the middle mark, but maybe I'm completely wrong. Tell me about what true choice really is, because we were going to circle back to that.
Yeah. Right. So true choice is a choice that you choose just because you love it. So it's something that you choose to create just literally just because you just love to create that thing.
Give us
So
an
it
example.
cannot be, well, in this case, if there's an entrepreneur who says, okay, I want to manifest or create $1 million, I would first ask, why $1 million? Why is it not 995,889? Why is it not 1.2 million? Why is it not 1.5? So
Okay,
where
let's
does
role
that?
play this. So if I were to answer that question, let's just say that the answer is because at 1 million, I can call myself a millionaire, and it will prove that my business is successful.
Okay, so what I'm hearing in that is that maybe your true choice is having a successful business then.
I love
It's
that.
not really the $1 million that you want, because if you had $1.2 million, or if you had $1.5 million, you'd still be a millionaire. In fact, if you'd have, I don't know, $500,000 and you go to another country, you'd be a millionaire in that other country, right?
Yeah, I
So
that actually happened to me. I went to Bali and I exchanged $200 and I got like 1.3 million rupiah back. And I was like, oh, this is what it means to be a millionaire.
right. So that's why so this is the difference between a true choice and not a true choice. Like, is that 1 million, is that really what you want? But what you said, like if this uh, hypothetical entrepreneur would say to me, well, because that would mean I'm having a successful business, and I'm like, oh, okay, so you want a successful business, great, got it, that's what you want.
And is there
And
and I love this because I actually love it feels like you're taking the emotion of the milestone and saying
yes,
it might be possible to have that in advance.
absolutely.
So how does this work? So now I know I've got a milestone. At least I can measure, you know, what the I or the hypothetical in this scenario entrepreneur thinks a successful business is. And in this instance, it's $1 million. And then, okay, so I'm learning that $1 million is just an indicator of having a what I would consider to be a successful business. What's next?
I would also ask, what is it like, what is it to you to have a successful business? Like, what does that mean to you? Okay, I know you think when you have a successful business you'll have $1 million, but what does it look like for you to have a successful business? Like, tell me.
Okay, so let's say um I'm helping people and they're making money too, right? So success for means not only the million, but I'm helping other people. Those people are successful and they're making millions as well.
Okay, how many people are doing this?
100.
100 people. Okay, so you're creating 100 millionaires.
Just to start.
Right, okay, so if you had that, what would that feel like?
Oh, that would feel like I'm fulfilling my life's calling. That would feel like I'm honoring the gifts that God made me. That would make me feel like I'm making a difference.
Got it. So these are, sounds like these are your true choices, actually.
And you know what?
What,
We
like
stopped the
the
role play a second ago because that is actually a goal of mine. I want to make this year 100 millionaires out of especially entrepreneurs.
it's pretty
And
cool, hey?
yeah,
So
that's
so
that's
the
a goal of mine.
right. So then and you also said you would feel like you're fulfilling your purpose.
Yes.
And you said something else, but I feel like that's really that's the true choice. I feel like maybe that's your true choice. That would be the true choice, fulfilling your purpose. You also said helping people. And what would that give you? You would feel, probably you would feel like you live a life you love. You are satisfied, right? And
Yes. And for
probably
me, it's even deeper. Like I said, that we stopped role playing a second ago. For me, I had a moment where I was driving in my car that was about to break down. And I remember having a conversation with God in this moment. And I said, if you can just help me through this, I will pay you back by helping hundreds of people through this. And so for me, I feel like it's a debt I owe to the person that made me to leave a mark on the planet that makes people much, much better off. Because money can solve a lot of problems.
definitely so. So were you helped through that instance? The
Oh,
car
yeah.
breakdown?
Oh, yeah. My car caught fire in my garage, and my brother came and he helped me. And then I used, I donated it. I got a new car. And then in the midst, that's what my origin story is. That's when I became a millionaire. And I was like, oh my gosh, the feeling of coming above the waterline financially and being able to breathe. I want every parent to experience that, every
Mm.
single mom to experience that, every entrepreneur to experience that. And that's why I'm on this mission to do whatever I can in my power to go above and beyond and say, okay, let's multiply this gift 100 times at least this year.
Awesome. That is really amazing.
I didn't know I was going to get coaching today. This is great.
I didn't know either. It was just a hypothetical business person. So anyway, so yeah, so you were asking about the feeling, right?
Yeah.
And
How do we,
and so
is
and
there
so
something to that?
yes, so the next step would be to have the feeling of that which you desire, and to have the feeling of that now. So that's part of that focus that we talked about, like what I said to you, that you are this observer who is observing the possibility into reality,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you made a true choice. So this was very important, because if you I'm sorry backtracking. I'm gonna get to the feeling in a moment.
Yes.
So it's very important that you have a true choice, because if you don't, then you're gonna have a choice that is based on a reaction, or fixing something, or overcoming a negative belief about yourself or the world, or you could have a conditional choice, which is not a true choice, and you could have it's gonna come to me, a conditional choice, and you
I'm
could have
curious
a
about
default,
this word. How do
and
we, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
you could be in default, which is sometimes people go into default when they say, oh, I'm not going to make a choice, like you're choosing not to make a choice. So all of these ways of making a choice are not effective. They are ineffective ways of making a choice. It's not a true choice. And so why this is so important is because if you're not in true choice, then you're dragging with you a lot of resistance, and also you are then basically observing more of the same. Like if you're trying to solve a problem, you're either in a creative structure or you're in a problem solving structure. And if you're in a problem, like all of the ineffective choices are in a problem-solving structure. If you're in a problem-solving structure, you're giving the power of focus and observation to the problem that you're trying to solve. So
My jaw's
you
on the
need
floor.
to be, right? So you need to be in the creative structure, meaning constantly stick with that true choice. And so because you have a true choice, therefore you give no power and no focus to all the fixing and all the ineffective ways of creating something, right?
Yeah. So I'm loving this. So what you're saying, what I hear you saying is that you're doing one of two things. You're either committed to your true choice, or you're in this other box called the conditional choice. How do you know if you're problem solving or if you're creating? How do you know, in other words, if you're in the true choice or this conditional choice? What would be the indicator?
It would be that it doesn't flow and it doesn't work, and maybe you're worried. This is it. It doesn't flow, it doesn't work, and you're worried.
So
or you
if
have
you're in
like
conditional
icky
choice.
feelings,
Yeah, go ahead.
or you have like these icky feelings, like some kind of icky feelings. It doesn't have to be worry, but it's some kind of uncomfortable feelings. But then again, it could be that you think that you are feeling uncomfortable, but actually to your unconscious mind, that's what comfortable is, because then here is the conscious and the unconscious mind, and the unconscious mind always is trying to keep you where it's safe. The unconscious mind always tries to keep you in your old box. So maybe you're like, maybe you're having icky feelings, but you're having these icky feelings just because your unconscious mind is trying to keep you in the old box, and your old box equals icky feelings. So it's getting quite complex now.
So what I'm hearing you say is that this problem solving box, or this conditional choice box, there's a certain level of discomfort there, but the discomfort can actually be quite comfortable if you're used to it. It's the status quo, in other words. And when I hear you say that, I think about this. This is an indicator for me. I actually used to be this person, and I would complain about the same problem over and over and over again, even though some circumstances in my life changed and I was growing or moving a different house or whatever. I was still complaining about the same thing and not realizing that I was the common denominator. So I'll use another example. So if you've ever dated, you and I both know that's a crazy world. But if you find yourself dating a narcissist, and then you date somebody else and he's a narcissist, and then you date somebody else and he's a narcissist, and all of these people have the same behaviors, you're complaining about the same thing. I always find narcissists, but at the same time, this is the unconscious or the conditional choice box, because you have established a comfort zone with dating narcissist people, and you find yourself recycling the same problem over and over and over again. So if I understand you correctly, I think that's our indicator, is if you're repeating the same problem that you keep complaining about over and over and over again, now we're in this box.
Yeah, that's what the method I'm trained in is called the magnetic mind method, and that's what we would call either a stuck structure or an oscillating structure.
Okay.
What you just described, and that's in that problem solving box, or the ineffective choice box.
Okay, this is coming together really, really well. So if I'm dating all these narcissists, or I keep trying this business thing that doesn't work and doesn't work, and it never works and it never works, then I'm the common denominator, and I keep trying a new version of the same thing because I'm in this problem-solving mindset.
But it's not you. That's the thing. It's not you. It's not personal. That's the thing. You're saying you're the common denominator, and I get what you're saying. Right? I get your point, and it's kind of true, but it's not.
Okay, teach
because
me.
because success is not personal, it's structural. So it's not you as a person, it's that you are being in some kind of structure that gives you the same stuff over and over again. You just gotta get into this different structure. You just need to get into a creative structure rather than being in your oscillation or stuck structure, repeating that same pattern.
Yes.
So it's not you, it's the structure that you're in. So you gotta
That's
get into this
beautiful.
other structure,
Okay, walk us
the
through this
creative
system.
structure. Sorry?
Walk us through this system. If you meet someone who's stuck in this oscillating structure, we know it's not them personally. It's not because they're broken. They're just using a broken system.
Yes, that's right.
So the
Yes,
beautiful
so
part of that is that they can change, just change the system.
yes, absolutely. They don't even have to heal or fix themselves or anything like that.
Okay, walk us
They don't
through
need
that.
to do they didn't need to do shadow work. They don't need to do none of that. They just need to get into this other structure. So the other structure, and so now we are returning to the feeling, is the creative structure. And being in the creative structure means that you have a true choice. So you get clear on what is that true choice that you want. And then you feel the you feel the feeling of the end result, and then you gotta teach your unconscious that it's safe to have that. Because the reason, so when you're in the oscillating or stuck structure that we described with the dating narcissists, for example, or trying this business thing that just you keep trying it over and over again, and you try it many ways but you still get the same result. It's because your unconscious mind is convinced that it's not safe to have this other thing that you want, like, because the conscious mind wants to thrive and live, and it has thoughts and feelings, and you have like an identity, self-awareness, and the unconscious mind doesn't care about living and thriving. The only thing the unconscious mind cares about is survival, to have the body survive, to have you survive. And how the unconscious mind works is that when it learns something as we go through life and something happens, and the unconscious mind learns, okay, this is how life works, and that's it. It's programmed. It's programmed in there. It's set in stone, and it's gonna just run that program over and over and over and over and over and over until we die. So when you're repeating a structure, you're in an oscillating structure. What happens is that you try to go, so you're in your current reality, you're trying to go to your desired reality. And so you're in this current reality, and you try to go for something, you try to go towards your desired reality, but you take a few steps and your unconscious will pull you back into your current reality, because for your so basically you need to teach your unconscious mind that it's safe to have that, because it doesn't know, it doesn't think it's safe to have that. So to give you an example to make this a bit more available is, for example, if a child grows up and experiences toxic shame, like that the parents give them a lot of shame for something that the child does, the unconscious mind will learn, okay, it felt bad, but we survived it. So then the person grows up and will keep recreating, keep finding those circumstances and people and events where he or she can experience toxic shame over and over and over again. And no matter how much they try to change it, like, okay, this community is that was toxic shame, I want to get away from this. They try to go into another community where they think this is gonna be better, like that's the desired reality, that's the desired reality. You try to go for that, and they go into this other community, let's say, and they're just gonna experience toxic shame all over again. It's like, and you don't know what, like, why can't I change it? And it's because the unconscious mind learned in that instance, the unconscious mind learned very early on okay, this was painful, but we survived it. So this is the way to survive. So then it will keep running this same program.
My jaw just fell to the floor again. Oh my gosh. Yes. So your subconscious is also, it's acting as a reward system.
How do you mean a reward system?
It's you so your since your subconscious has learned that it can survive it, that's a reward for the subconscious mind. Like we made it, we survived
Right,
it, and that's how we know to reward ourselves.
right.
So we're going to look for the same pattern. And since you have to take your subconscious mind with you, no matter what community you're in, that's why it repeats.
Yeah.
Okay, so bring
So
it all home for us. How do we teach our subconscious mind?
it is that you gotta feel the feeling of the end result that you want,
Okay, so practice the
the true
feeling.
choice. Sorry?
Oh, I'm breaking it down into steps because I love steps. So number one is it sounds like to practice the feeling of your true choice.
That's right. So how you do that is you just visualize that the future of that desired reality, and like visualize it to the greatest detail. I mean, to the smallest detail, and do that every single day. Take a minute or take 2 minutes to visualize that every single day. And that is the way to start training your unconscious mind that it's safe to have that. And then what's going to happen is as you start taking action towards, because that's the other thing, so it's not enough to just feel the feeling of the end result. You also need to take aligned action.
Yes. Yes. Aligned action. I
Manifesting
love
doesn't,
that.
right? Manifesting doesn't just work like you sit at home and something happens. Like I mean, if it does happen actually, like there are like really highly evolved human beings who can actually do that, like, but for that they had to sit in a cave for all of their lives and
Right.
be enlightened, like be completely enlightened and all of that. Like if you read the life of Paramahansa, life of a yogi, I think that's what it's called, life of a yogi or something like
Uh-huh.
this, from an author called Paramahansa Yogananda. He describes these sages who can literally just sit somewhere and manifest things out of thin air. So it is really possible. It's possible. But if if you haven't spent your life sitting in a cave being enlightened, then unfortunately you're going to have to take some action. So,
That's most of us.
so
I
that's how,
think it's fair to say.
yes, so that's how it works. So as you start taking action, so you have this vision of this desired reality, right? And you're teaching your unconscious it's safe to have that. Then you start taking action that is aligned with that reality. And just returning to a question you asked earlier about, so I want to do this new thing that I've never done before, like manifesting, let's say manifesting $1 million or have a successful business. And I want to do this thing and I've never done it before and I don't know how to do it, right? But then what would be, so the only question is, what's the next obvious action? What would be the next obvious action? If you don't know how to do it, find out how to do it, right? Go, success leaves clues. Go find somebody who has done it and
Yes.
do everything you can to find out how to do it, and then take the action, and kind of the rest will come. And then your unconscious mind, as you take in aligned action, your unconscious mind will throw up some resistance. And when that happens, what we would do in the magnetic mind method is we would do some superconscious recode, because that's what you are. Those are the three levels of consciousness. It's your conscious mind, it's your unconscious mind, and it's your superconscious. And so the superconscious, so as I said, just to repeat that, the conscious mind is only concerned with living and thriving, and it wants things and it's conscious. And the unconscious mind only cares about surviving. And the superconscious only cares about one thing, which is creation. That's the only thing it's concerned with, creation. So,
Oh, wow.
so you would recode. So when you're teaching your unconscious, it's safe to have this new thing. It's safe to have this new thing. And then you're taking the action, and then your unconscious will be like, that's not safe. Then we do a superconscious recode, which means that we basically recode the instruction that is embedded in the unconscious, and we recode it from your superconscious.
So your super conscious is going through your conscious and teaching your subconscious.
basically.
I've never heard of a super conscious mind before.
The superconscious is some people call it the unified field, or some people call it like the collective consciousness.
I've
It's
heard of that.
basically it is basically a field of information. That's what it is. It's a field of information. By the way, that's what you are as well. That's what I am. Every single human being. What we are is a field of information. And then we get coded from the superconscious, we get coded through the DNA. And then there's you. Right? And then we get also coded by obviously the ancestors as well. But it's like how you become you is you get coded through the DNA via the superconscious. Anyway, that was a tangent. You are a field of information, and so is the superconscious. The superconscious is nothing else but a field of information.
Wow.
Which is the collective consciousness, or it's a unified field.
Estee, I have learned so much today. Thank you so much for sharing your brilliance. And friends, her ebook is going to be available in the description of this podcast. And you can find Estee online. You can find her on Instagram. You can find her on Facebook. If you want us to do a part 2 of this episode, throw it in the comments below. I know I want a part 2 because I feel like we've just tapped into so many other things. Oh my gosh. Estee, leave us with a final thought. What would you say to everyone watching this podcast who wanted to take the next level up, whether it's in their business or whether it's in their relationships or whether it's with their spirituality or whether it's in their health? What's the one piece of advice that you would give them?
Good question. Get out of the problem-solving structure. Stop resisting your current circumstances, because the more you resist, the more you will just keep observing that same thing into reality more and more and more. Please always remember, you are a conscious creator. You are a creator. You are not broken. You're super conscious. That's who you are at the deepest level of your nature. You are super conscious. You are a creator, and you can create anything that you want. And just make a true choice, and just like stop resisting your current circumstances, make a true choice, and just go for it. By the way, the big secret in all of this is just go for it.
I love that. Oh my goodness. I love that. Well, Estee, thank you so much for joining us today. I loved meeting you. I hope we get to do more. And maybe someday, you're in the UK right now. I don't even know what time it is there, but what time is it in the UK? I'm curious.
It's 5 o'clock here, 5 p.m.
It's 5 p.m. there. It's 10 a.m. here. What a miracle that brought us across the globe to one another live, and we get to share this with the planet. Thank you, Estee. Thank you for being here.
And thank you so much for having me, Marianne. It's just really been an honor, and I'm really grateful to be here. And thank you again. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
It's my pleasure. I think if we're going to have you back again. I know that for sure.
I would love to have, I would also love to have a part 2. And yes, please let us know if you want a part 2, because yes, we only scratched the surface. There's so much more.
Okay, let's do it. I'm going to message you privately. Friends, thank you for joining us today on this podcast episode. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. Everyone take care.
Take care. Lots of love.
Mwah.